Is kdtv.com for live streaming this reception on Dave's behalf. Thank you, Bob. And we always have to recognize Dave Falbo's group, the Big Little Jazz Band, for their terrific music. Dave, this team, awesome job. And my last thank you is to Kathy Raffelli, who provided the decorations for the table. So thank you, Kathy. And we've invited several people to share some thoughts about Dave, their experience with Dave over the years, their friendships, their working relationships during Dave's tenure here. So I will get that started by inviting Eric Stenard to come up here and start the conversation. Eric?
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming to help us give Dave a good send-off. Dave, where are you? I don't have my glasses on. Oh, you're back there? Wow, really? You're going to just hide out there? Well, I do have, yeah, you should come on up here. We need to put you here in the very front. Come on, man. It's not like being at the front is a new experience for you. So, come on up. You're going to stand there. Okay, all right. Let's have a good view. So, let's see, Dave never listens to me. This is what it's been like working with Dave for 7 years. But now I've known Dave for 7 years or so, coming on 8. And I know that's more than some, but not as many as some of the truly old people that are here. I said truly old people. I didn't say unruly gold people. You can't quite hear what I was saying. But I do think that I've earned the privilege to celebrate with Dave, share some comments, roast him just a bit. Because, you know, Dave's got that rough sort of poker face. You know that one, right? You don't exactly know what's behind that. Right?
I'm smiling right now.
You're smiling on the inside. I know you are, Dave. I know you are. So, and I don't really have, I only have 2 little mementos for you, so you are going to need to come up to get these. So this is the first one, and we literally whipped this together. Well, the picture actually was a reject from an earlier ad that we decided to do, but we thought it was a little bit too much for that, so we pulled it together in a couple of minutes. Maybe I'll just pass this around. What do you think of that?
Looks like Mike Montoya.
It's a caricature of Dave on a little ad about 2 in 1. So pass that around. I think people will enjoy seeing you in that caricature form. The second thing I have for you is really about what I think is, from my perspective, a lasting legacy for you, and it is about 2 in 1, because Dave's been such a tremendous 2 in 1 champion from the very beginning, in the planning stages. You know, other people are going to, you know, may give you some plaques, or they may give you clocks or mementos. That's a bunch of crap. You don't need that stuff. I'm going to give you something valuable. And you're hoping for a clock? Okay, sorry. I'm not going to give you a clock. But I want to give you something, however, that hopefully you will remember. I'm not sure you're going to be able to take it with you, but something that you will remember, because there are literally over 100,000 people who have called 211, gotten the help that they need, gotten a friendly voice, 24/7, day or night, and Dave, you really have made that happen for our community. Like I said, he was there from the very beginning with the planning and the support and the vision and the idea for it, and was there every year defending that and making sure that this funding was sustained. And there are many fundraisers in the audience tonight. You know that sustaining work is really the hardest work to do, and the United Way, under Dave's leadership, has really been there for 2 in 1. So, Tom, come on up. I'm going to need a little help here. So just hold the mic for me. Because every inch of this paper here, this is what you're going to get to take home with you, every inch is 2 in 1 helped me. So when you think about how much time has gone by over this period of time, right? All the time, the 10 years of 2 in 1 has been there, answering calls, kids in the middle of the night calling, teens in trouble, moms who are abused and neglected, looking for service, people without housing, people without food. Every inch here represents a life that you have touched someone who has gotten the help that they needed right when they needed it, and that is an invaluable gift that you have given to this community. So in response, the only thing I can do is give you this pile of paper as a way to memorialize that.
You know, I would just say, as far as that 24-hour service that 211 provides, Susan's going to be happy that I stopped answering the phone 24 hours a day. Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dave. So just a couple more things, and then I'll pass the mic over. So you may not know that, again, because of the strength of the 211 Center that really, Dave, you have really helped to build and maintain. We're answering calls across the state, and in fact, we will probably be getting close to 200,000 calls that will answer for people in need across the state. So it's not just here at home, it's really across the state that impact has been. So I know you're moving to Lexington, 40 miles or so away from the home of the Kentucky Derby. Anybody know the name of that place?
Churchill Downs.
Churchill Downs, that's right. Churchill Downs can hold 50,000 people in there. And so 211 is turning 10 years old in February. In the next 10 years, Dave, we'll be able to fill that stadium 40 times over with people that are getting help from the 211 call center here because of what you've started. So that is a lasting legacy, and I really hope that when you're fishing and you're playing with your grandkids, you can reflect back on what you've done here and really feel proud of that, because we're proud of you. Thanks.
Eric, that was just really well done, well stated.
You want me to help you with that?
Dave, I got an ESPN ticker report that Derek Jeter is actually reconsidering retirement. Would you reconsider? I'm now going to introduce our county executive officer, Mike Powers, to come up and say a few words to Dave and this group. Mike.
Thank you, Tom. I've known Dave about 10 years now. And I remember when I was getting to know him through the United Way, something was very remarkable. He was able to get so many people to come in and help with the United Way. And I remember specifically, I was on the board, and Dave really felt like we needed to have Mike Salachi back on. Mike had just cycled off the board after 6 years and so forth. But Dave felt like, boy, we really needed his fiscal expertise on the budget. And I thought, well, Mike's already served 6 years. He's on this foundation and that. There's no way in the world he's going to be able to come back on the board. Next meeting, there's Dave introducing Mike Salachi joining the board. And he does it with Bill Kearney and Hank Lacow and so many great people. And like half the people in this room. And I thought to myself, well, how does he do it? Does he have incriminating pictures and other evidence? What is the secret? But what I began to see was that it was their relationship with Dave. It was their belief in you, their trust in you, your credibility, the fact that you believe so wholeheartedly in the programs that United Way supports and impacting all these people here that inspired them to do it. And that's really what really inspired me about working with you, Dave. And you see it in so many ways. United Way talks about mobilizing, right? Well, I think Dave really embodies that just incredibly well. You look at the Freeze Fund that brought together United Way and Ventura Community Foundation and others. VC Together, all these groups, including Interface and many others. I don't think that happens in too many other counties. And that's a real credit to Dave. And last is just his steady, persistent leadership. I'm trying to think of a conversation or greeting that didn't involve 211, but I can't think of one. But today, we look back 10 years ago and we didn't have hardly at all. And now we have 211. You can't imagine not having it, right? It's so essential. And that's just a great tribute to your leadership, Dave. And so with that, I just say thank you for your leadership, for your friendship, and for the impact you've made on your community. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. You and your team at the county have been a great partner, and I attribute that to you and to Dave and all the the others that work behind the scenes. Now let me introduce Hugh Ralston. Hugh is representing the Ventura County Community Foundation. Hugh, I'm sure you've got a few words to say.
Thank you. I think many of you know in the room that the Community Foundation and the United Way share a common. In fact, the Community Foundation was born out of the United Way, and we take that legacy very, very seriously. In fact, one of the reasons that this center works as well as it does is because the partnership with United Way has endured and strengthened the fact that we're in this room and that over 90 organizations have used this room for free as a testament to the support of the Community Foundation and the United Way to provide financial support so these organizations can use it for free. There was mentioned earlier about the partnerships with Ventura County Together and the Freeze Fund. When I think of Dave Smith, I think of one word, and that is really partnership and engagement. In fact, as I was sorting through my office, I came upon a letter that I received June 12th, 2003, which was a month before I showed up, and it was written by one David M. Smith, President of the and CEO of the United Way. And in that letter he said, "I want to take a minute to let you know that I look forward to your arrival and the opportunity to work together for the betterment of the people of Ventura County." In the 2 years I've been in my current position, United Way of Ventura County and the Ventura County Community Foundation have enjoyed a positive working relationship. I am confident we can build on that. And it has been my pleasure over the last 11 years to see that relationship strengthen, both organizationally and personally. And that is a testament to the fact that while we don't always see eye to eye on everything, we actually share a common vision for the work of the Community Foundation and the United Way, because both of them exist to better and strengthen Ventura County. Both organizations are part of national efforts that are undergoing significant changes and challenges as the world we live in are in fact also confronting those, and both of them are intensely local because they focus on the needs of the community. What I remember most and what I respect most about Dave is that persistent voice that you hear when he talks, you hear when the organization gathers people together, in the many editorials and in the many articles that he has put in the paper about how we have an opportunity and an obligation to step up and volunteer and work to better our community. And the programs that have been developed out of the United Way over the years have provided platforms for people who want to register online to volunteer, for people that show up year after year on Day of Caring, the people that show up to pack the bus, pack the bag, do the things. It is about those elements in the community where people can come together and who work together because they believe that we can actually make a better place. It's that persistent voice that has really helped lead the United Way and helped lead the nonprofit sector into opportunities to think about how we in fact can build community here in Ventura County. That's a voice that I am happy to respect and honor and to share my great personal regard and respect for the work that Dave has done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hugh. We wish you well in your future endeavors as well. It's now my privilege to introduce Mr. Peter Manzo, the President and CEO of United Ways of California, here to say a few words. Peter, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Pete Manzo with the United Ways of California. It's my pleasure to work with Dave and 33 other CEOs of United Ways across the state. I'll try and be brief. It's a little bit hard for me, but I will. One thing I just want to note that it's 6:10 p.m. And if any of you have worked with Dave, you're used to getting emails from him, usually around 6 in the morning. So this is a long day for Dave. I used to feel guilty that I would take a couple hours getting back to him because, 6 a.m., come on. 8:15, right? And you would wonder probably, right? Where's Pete? Why doesn't he call me back? But driving up here, I was talking to Judy Darnell, our public policy director, who's been in the field longer than me and has worked with Dave more years than I have, right? I've been able to work with Dave for about 5.5 years. And, Dave was an early champion of our efforts to work together as a state network, right? He was very instrumental in getting us to really coalesce and try and build a staffed organization to coordinate the work that we all do together. Dave also was an early champion in our advocacy work. We didn't always do some of the work that we do now, which is we take position on important issues that we think are going to increase the odds that the people that we're trying to help can succeed. And Dave was a very early champion of that. Dave, as Eric mentioned, also was a really early champion of 2-on-1. Ventura had, I think, the first approved license to use the 3-digit dialing code in California, thanks to the efforts of Dave and Eric. And it might be hard for Eric to say this, but I will brag for Dave and Eric. It's one of the best run 2-on-1s in the entire country, right? The model that they're using, you heard Eric mention about handling calls from other parts of the state. That's the future for the whole network nationally. We need to be doing that. We can't have, so it's a very efficient and effective way to run the program, and Dave and Eric have really led the way on that. I've been fortunate to see Dave. Most of my interaction with him has been watching Dave work with other CEOs of United Ways or 2-on-1s or policymakers, right? And so, many of you may have experienced him if you work for Dave, he's the boss, right? But in rooms full of people, Dave is very influential in a very quiet way, right? He's been a very effective leader in our group. And I've often wondered, I don't know if you've had this experience, at Dave's patience, right? Because I've been in the room when people have said just outrageous stuff, right? That 9 out of 10 people would feel like they have to jump out of the chair and say something. Dave listens to it, right?
When I wake up.
Yeah, that's what springs into action. But Dave, Dave's very calm, and it helps calm you down. It calms everyone else down, right? And then Dave will say, well, I think we should look at something in this way. And it helps the whole group move forward. And you've got to have somebody like that in every group, and that is kind of rare. And it's hard, it's not something that gets in newsletters or gets in newspaper headlines, but it's a very important attribute that Dave brings to our work. And at the same time, he has a wickedly dry sense of humor, right? So that if you're not paying attention, a joke just went right over your head. That does happen to me many times. And he's a lot of fun outside of work. So that's a really kind of unusual combination of things. So Dave has been a really important leader in our field, both here in California and in the United Way nationally. And we're really going to miss him here in California, but I think we're going to still be in touch. And if the folks in Lexington are smart, they're going to put Dave to work. So, Dave, thank you. Congratulations.
Pete, you mentioned that Dave is the boss, and I do quake when I have to meet with him for breakfast every Tuesday to hear what's going on and what he's expecting of me. So thank you for your words. They were terrific. Good friend of the United Way, good friend of Dave and his wife. I'd like to introduce Bill Kearney. He's been a past member of the board, past chair of the board, a huge, longtime supporter of the United Way. Bill, can you please come and join us in some words?
And thank everybody here for allowing me the opportunity to say a few words. This is an amazing gathering. I've spent a little bit of time wandering around and talking to everybody, talking to Dave and Susan, and it is just wonderful, just a wonderful gathering. But I noticed there's a little edge. There's an elephant in this room, and I suspect, because I've been around the longest, that it's my job to expose that puppy and put the skunk on the table and say it as it is.
Go for it, Bill.
No.